shaking her head and goes, "Oh my God,
It's going to be a long trip.
Anyway.
So, do you guys give school tours and things here? I think Shannon.
My wife is doing riding lessons for kids, basically, and called Troll Stables. And that's the only input I had to the name was the Troll part from Norway. Yeah, she has a few students out here, and then she does the odd trail ride around the river, and so we cut some trails and that sort of thing. So, but other than that, we just enjoy our farm life, so to speak.
Yeah, you really enjoy it.
Oh, yeah.
You would never trade it.
Oh no.
You never want to go fishing in Norway?
I'll go fishing, but I don't know if it'll be in Norway. But, then once a year I go out to the coast. A friend of mine at the coast got a 40-foot sailboat, and we play Vikings going up and down. We don't do the raping part anymore because we're too old, but pillage on that we can handle. But anyway, so we do that to get away from here. But like I grew up in a city. I lived in Vancouver, lived in Winnipeg, lived in Edmonton. I moved out to Pigeon Lake, if you know where that is, in Alberta, in 1995, 94, 95. And I couldn't figure out why I had lived in a town all these years when you can be out in such a peace and quiet, And I'll never go back to live in a town, not even in Preeceville.
Yeah, it's too big.
Too big. This is nice and quiet, and you get up in the morning and look out the window and there's a bull moose standing in your yard and you go, "Hi, how are you doing?"
Anything else you want to add before we go on a tour?
Well, I don't know. I want to tell you about those pigs.
Yes, please do.
We decided we're going to be into the pig business, and we decided that by default we had bought some piglets, and that was 2 years ago, and we were going to Saskatchewan for a wedding, and one of our neighbor farmers came over before we left, and we were going to do the feeding, and then the lady looked at the one and says, "That one is pregnant, and that's going to drop in about a week." And we said, "You've got to be kidding." And while we were in Saskatchewan, there's 8 little piglets.
Oh, really?
And she rolled on 2 of them. So we had 6. So we said, "Well, yeah, okay, we'll be pig farmers then, yeah." And so we raised up those piglets, and they were born in July, so there was not much meat on them so we had to overwinter them, with the mama. And not knowing what that entailed, of course, my wife works in town, so I ended up being the pig boy, feeding them water and slopping them and all that kind of stuff, and in -40, carrying 2 buckets of water is kind of cold.
Yeah, I'd imagine that.
Yeah, so we decided after that we're going to be out of the pig business. We're not going to overwinter them. We're going to buy them in the spring and then slaughter in the fall. But we had a boar in there. One of the piglets was a boar, and we didn't want to have the boar, so we advertised them. And the guy from Porcupine Plain came and backed up his truck to the pig pen. And my grandson was here, so, I said, "No, let's get that boar and get him over to this crater." We had 2 boars. And so he jumps in there, and he thinks, now this is rodeo time, So he's going kayaking in there, trying to chase this pig out to and the pigs are running all over the place. Mama is running, they're following. I slipped, they ran over my back. The buyers are just standing there at the fence and looking and smiling. It took us an hour and a half to catch that pig, and you can't catch them. They're faster than grease lightning.
And then I guess the whole grease pig story goes to that. You grease them, it'd be 10 times worse.
So I chased my grandson out. My wife had told me once, many years ago, we were trying to catch a horse. She says, "If you want to go and get him, don't ever look at him. Look above them, because they'll read your mind, and they'll move, So I finally got that little boar cornered, and I figured, well, I'm not going to look at him then. So I'm looking away, and then I stumbled again, of course. And the pig squealed and ran away. So finally I got him up there again, and we had a chute, and I got him in the chute. By this time the buyer who had put the crate out there so you can just chase him into the crate, he was almost falling asleep, you know, and I got him in the chute, and I got him into the crate, and he looks at me, and I said, close it. Why? I said, pig is in there. Oh, okay. So, anyway, so that was, then we decided we're not going to do this again, but then this year, we had a short memory, you know, and so we ended up with a sow and 4 piglets, a gilt, and a boar. We decided we're going to try this again. My wife had decided we're going to take part of the corral where we have the automatic water, and we're going to make half of that into a pigsty. Yeah. And then we don't have to carry water in them at the time. Yeah. But all this happened too fast, so we didn't have a chance to get it all set up. So we used the old chicken coops we had before. We put them all in there. Mama pig was meaner than all get up. You know, she's biting at the wire to get out and everything else. So we decided we're gonna do her in right now. You know, so we did. And then there was two little boars in there too. So my friend comes to help us with the slaughtering, and in the last boar, his wife had cut her finger put her hand in a toolbox and cut her fingers. So Marion took her into the hospital to get stitches. In the meantime, Nelson and I were trying to get that last boar, and it's running around in there, running around. We can't get him. So he goes in the pig pen, and then I'm going in there, and we have these hog panels. You know, they've got big squares in them.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm using that as a ladder. So now I got to get over. So I swing one leg over, and so now my feet are like this in the squares, right? And I got to get that one out and swing that leg over to get in there. And as I got that one out, that one slipped out. The last quick thought came to my mind was, this is going to hurt, and it did.
You were correct.
And then my wife comes home and she says there was a perfectly good wooden ladder laying there. Anyway, no, I guess if anything else comes to mind while we're walking around.
I guess one last thing I was just going to ask. You know, with all the kids that are moving away that don't want to farm anymore. Yeah. What advice would you give somebody who actually wants to farm?
Oh, that's a tough question to ask an insurance broker.
Well, maybe it's not as profitable as it once was, but it's a lifestyle.
A lifestyle. I mean, you can't beat the lifestyle. You can't. You want to take time off, you take time off. I mean, you just want to make sure that the chores are done and all that kind of stuff. And so, you know, you don't. It's not a 9 to 5 type of job. It's actually a 24-hour job at times, because there are a lot of things that has to be done and got to get done. And then the next day you don't have anything to do, perhaps, and other than watering a little bit and here and there, and so you can enjoy life. But from what I've seen of the other farmers around here and talking to them, farmers are actually pretty big risk takers.
They are, yeah.
You know, they need a return on investment, and last year I don't think the return on investment was pretty good.
No, everything was wet, and so.
Yeah, so advice to somebody the young guys that want to stay in farming. You got to go big. You got to take a chance and go big and try and make the money. Being small like we are, I mean, we're not in it for the money, so I can't really gauge how much money we would have made had we gone full-time farming. But the chap that we bought the property from, I mean, he was running 30, 40 heads of cattle and doing grain farming, and so he, I mean, he obviously survived. There is money in it, I'm sure there is. But you got to be, you got to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it for the lifestyle, not for the money.
Yeah, and that's me. That's me. But my neighbor across the road here, you know, he's got 3 kids. His advice to them is get a profession, and then if you want to farm, go ahead and farm it. At least you got something to fall back on should it not go the.
Sure enough.
Yeah, and I think that is a very prudent advice. You know. My kids, I got a son in Wilkie, and he is actually working for a fertilizer company and advising farmers on various aspects of fertilizing and that sort of thing. And so he comes out here, and we're trying to be organic in the sense we don't use fertilizer,
right.
You know. So he comes out here and he says, well, we should get this and we should get that and we should spray this and we should spray that. So we have nicknamed him the chemical boy. But you know, we try with all the livestock we have, like the pigs that we have and the sheep and the birds, organic. We don't feed them any growth hormones or anything like that. So. And it's interesting because if you compare the meat you buy in the store to what we have in the freezer here, the taste is no
different. I mean, no comparison. Yeah.
No comparison. You know, it's and I enjoyed that too. You know, knowing exactly what I'm eating. You know, and there's no food coloring additive to make it look good either.
Well, that's right. Yeah, it's not the
good. The prevailing winds are north, so everything is blowing away. All the smells are blowing away from the house, so that's why the barn is down there, so it doesn't, you get all that barn smell at the house.
And this was all here when you got the place?
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, we have to go into town, but I don't even want to do that anymore, you know. I want to just be out here and enjoy the life out here. That over there is a goose pen we set up last year, so when the geese grow up this later on this spring.
Strictly for meat, or do you use the eggs
for
too?
meat? Yeah, no, they don't lay eggs. But way out in the back there, you can see that one there. That's Holstein Black Angus cross. It went in one ear and came out the other. It wasn't a true story. The back half there is a stable.
Okay.
And we did a lot of work in there. And this box here is a tack room.
And there's a cat.
Yeah, and there's some tack there. Well, and you got the barn cats, of course. He's doing our arable land, and then we get hay and grain in return.
So that's back the way it used to be. People would barter and help each other out.
This is where we had the little lambs in the beginning when they were small.
Okay.
Had them there, and here's this box stall here is the hospital.
Ah.
That's sick bay.
For the sick lambs.
And these are tie stalls, 2 horses each. And then in there the box stall, and we have